Let's answer your burning questions. Hi everyone, it is April from Getting Hogo With It. Today, I'm going to answer a few questions for you. Some of them are a little more intense than others. Some of them are quite lovely questions, but I wanted to dive right in and hopefully get you guys some answers that you are looking for. The first question is from Jacqueline McMenamin. I hope I'm saying your last name right. She said, April, I'm getting really put off your channel because of the amount of ads you now have. There are like 4 or 5 in each video. So I do want to address this. Thank you, Jacqueline, for reaching out to me. And thank you for your patience. So yes, let's absolutely address this. In the last month or so, I've noticed a major change on my channel. And I have actually lost 75% of my AdSense revenue. We're talking money here. And that is an awkward thing to talk about a lot of the time. I'm not alone in this. I actually reached out to several booktubers, and many of them, not all of them, but many of them said that they have seen a really big dip in their sales. Some people were saying like 60%, some people were saying like 50% less. If this was like 25% or something, I probably wouldn't be including more ads in my videos. But I actually am looking at BookTube differently than I did at the beginning. When I started BookTube, it was purely a hobby. It was a way for me to get my mind off of the infertility that I was experiencing. I did not expect to, have so many of you guys watching my channel. I'm so grateful for that. I didn't expect it to, honestly, I thought I'd have like 500 subscribers the entire time, but I obviously have significantly more. And in recent years, not months, years, I have approached BookTube as a job, like a part-time job. I mean, it's not a lot of money. I could get a job at Tim Hortons part-time and make more than I do here. But I really love this. And so yeah, I do kind of consider it a part-time job. It is nice to have some extra cash to buy books. It really always goes back into BookTube. I'm either like buying a new iPhone or hopefully eventually getting new bookshelves, buying more books so that I can review them for you and haul them for you guys and for myself. But yeah, so I think it is important to clarify that I am approaching it and putting as much work into BookTube as possible. Obviously, I have a full-time job, but I do kind of consider it a part-time job, and the amount of effort and stuff that I put into it, like to have suddenly 75% less AdSense revenue is major. And so I have been putting more ads into my videos, and I'm sorry if that's driving people nuts. It's just kind of what I have to do at this time. It won't be forever. I'm not planning on having a ton of ads in my videos forever. I just want to get over this kind of weird blip. And truthfully, before this, I never really thought about putting ads in strategically. I just didn't care. I was like, I just click yes, monetize my video, and kind of away we go. And I think I need to approach it slightly differently. So I do hope that you are able to be patient with me. It won't be forever, but here we are. Okay, the next question is from Boho Bookworm. She was talking about a bunch of books that she wanted to read and loved, and then we were talking about The Woman in the Window. She says, when is the movie coming? I do wonder if AJ Finn will come out with more books after his big scandal. What are your thoughts? So I did a whole video about the AJ Finn scandal. I'll link that in the description box below. Essentially, what it comes down to is a lot of people in the publishing industry have said that he is quite a liar, that he lies about things in his personal life. He may have even taken like great liberties with The Woman in the Window and kind of copied another author. There's a lot. I do think he's going to come out with another book at some point. I think he's waiting. I'm probably working on one now. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I feel like every thriller book that I pick up, it's blurbed by him. So he's still very much involved in the publishing industry. He's still very much a popular author, I would say. So it wouldn't make sense to me for him to stop. I think he'll come out with something else and I will read it. I like his writing style. I loved The Woman in the Window. So, yeah, I know that this is very like controversial. Some people are like done with him after learning more about him. Other people, you know, don't mind him so much. I just don't think, I don't know. I explained it more in that video, but I don't think being a liar fully makes me stop wanting to support you as an author. But I don't love the idea that he was stealing ideas from other authors though. Ew. Okay, the next question is from is it George Lopez? I think so. Do you have a favorite historical era that you like to read of? And this is hard for me. I really like anything from like the Victorian era to like 1950s. That's my sweet spot. I am someone who will never get bored of the World War II subgenre of historical fiction. I will read those forever. I know some people are getting tired of them. I just can't get enough. I can't get enough, and I also can't get enough of nonfiction surrounding that era. I really like it. I actually was thinking about doing a video about my favorite World War II historical fiction books. Let me know in the comments below if you would want that from me. I was thinking of doing that in early November. Anyway, so any time between Victorian era and 1950s is my sweet spot. But I love World War II. I just can't get enough. And what Victoria read, she was commenting on my one of my haul videos, and I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I read the first line of the books that I haul. It's a new thing that I've been doing for a few months now, and I really like it, and a lot of you guys like it as well. And what I do while I'm hauling and reading out these first lines of books is I kind of rate them, and I give them whether or not they are going to be a 5-star first line or not. A lot of the time they're not 5-star first lines. And she said, I'd love to know what makes a 5-star first line for you. And for me, a 5-star first line is something that grips me right away. It's usually violent, not all the time, but it's unexpected. And it's got a punch. So if it's something along the lines of, I was wondering when rigor mortis would set in. What did I read that recently. Oh, I think it was a Liz Nugent book, Skin Deep. I think it was something along those lines in that book. And I was like, that is 5-star, because you immediately need to know. You're like immediately embroiled in the story, in the mystery in this case. You need to know who's the body. Why is she next to a body? Yeah, so that is essential to make it a 5-star first line for me. So I got 2 comments from the same person when I was recommending books to you guys. Sometimes I'll do a video where I ask you guys on Instagram and then here on YouTube, like what you guys are in the mood to read, and then I offer you suggestions. So Erin O'Donnell wrote, I don't know how you can recommend books you haven't even read. And then she also said in another video where I had done the same thing, should you really be recommending books you haven't read? Save those for your TBR videos. So I read a lot. Like I am set to read about 100 books this year in 2020, which is kind of amazing. That's pretty amazing. But I own a lot more than I read, by far. Like my hauls are massive. And so I have a lot of books. And when someone is in the mood for a certain thing, and there's a book on my shelves that fits that description completely, I will recommend that book, not because I've read it and think it's wonderful, but because it fits what they're looking for exactly. Also, you know, if people are looking for new releases, well, I haven't read all of the new releases that I get right away. Sometimes I've just hauled it and then I'll, you know, film a video the next day about book recommendations, and there's not enough time. There's not enough time. I wish that I could just sit and read all day, every day. That would be a dream. And then maybe I could only recommend books that I have actually read. But yeah, you, Erin, should absolutely only recommend books that you read. I am going to do my own thing. And if you guys don't love that, you know, you can always say in your, in the request, you know, please recommend a book that you've read and loved. Like that's totally fine. But I don't want to limit you guys to just that. And that is why I will recommend books that I have read and haven't read, depending on the situation. Now, speaking of another Erin Kahn, she said, hi, April, do you have any contemporary fiction series recommendations or historical fiction series recommendations? Now, I have a whole big pile of books here that most of them I haven't read. So I thought this would be a perfect time to answer this question. So I have not read this series by Rachel Joyce. There is The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry, and then The Love Song of Miss Queenie, Hennessy. This is about an older man who gets a letter in the mail and starts making his way to Miss Queenie, Hennessy. And it is about their story of friendship. And apparently you can read this either way. This came out first, this came out second. I'll probably read it in that order. I haven't read it. It's meant to be amazing. I've heard very good things about Rachel Joyce. A contemporary book series that I have read, not entirely, is the Bridget Jones series. So this is Bridget Jones' Diary, and this is Bridget Jones and the Edge of Reason. I didn't really love the other ones. There was Mad About the Boy, and then there's something about Bridget Jones's Baby. That's what it was. I just couldn't get into those. But I really loved these so much. These are about Bridget Jones, who is a early 30s something woman living in London. She's in the publishing industry, and she's very self-deprecating, like to a fault. She's a little bit clumsy. Like I can really relate to Bridget Jones. And it's a bit of a love triangle. This is, you know, my version of romance that I adore. It's hilarious. I remember where I was reading those books. Loved them. And then 2 more contemporary books that I haven't read is Chocolat and The Girl with No Shadow. Now, the movie set it in the 40s? I don't know when. But apparently the books have no time period. So you can kind of imagine it however you would like to. Chocolat, and this one, is about a mother and a daughter who move to a little town in France and open a chocolate shop. The town is very strict, religious, and I think it's Lent when they move. there, and she entices them all with her chocolate, and, you know, befriends a lot of the townspeople, but also becomes enemies with a lot of people as well. And then I think in this book, she moves somewhere else. They sound so cute, and every single spring, I always think, ooh, I should read that, and then I never do. But they remain on my shelves because one day I would like to. Okay, moving into two historical fiction series that I haven't read but want to is The Storms of War by Kate Williams, and then The Edge of the Fall, also by Kate Williams. This is the second, this is the first, this is a World War II historical fiction book series. Or World War One, excuse me, a World War One historical fiction book series about a family who is upper class, and their son, I think, enters the war. This person here, Alison Weir, said this is for fans of Downton Abbey. So it sounds really good, and I've always wanted to read it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So there's that. And then I do want to recommend a book series that I haven't read but want to read is the Pillars of the Earth series. I've got nearly all of it. So this is the Pillars of the Earth. This is World Without End. And then there's A Column of Fire. I have to say, the covers get better as they go along. Like, I much prefer this to this. Oh, you know? Anyway, so this is set... Is it the 13th century? Oh, I don't know when it's set. It's the 11th century or the 13th century, something along those lines. And this follows a family building a cathedral. Apparently, that description is a terrible description for this book because it's so much more. But I don't know what more it is because I haven't read it. It's just apparently fantastically written, and I think he has several book series out that are historical fiction. There's a book series that he has out surrounding World War II, I think, which sounds good to me, but I think I'll start with this, see how I feel about his writing. In any case, I hope that satisfies your historical fiction series and contemporary fiction series needs. Okay, and the last question comes from Terry. She said, "Hi, April. I'm always interested in what people do for a living. Can you tell us what you and Barry do?" So Barry is a purchaser for the government, so he'll purchase whatever they need. He'll work on contracts. I won't say what government entity he works for, what department, because just for his own privacy, I want to, you know, give him that chance to decide for himself if he would want to share that. But yeah, he purchases all sorts of stuff from like office chairs to, you know, at one point he was working for the Senate and he actually was able to help them create one of the speaker's chairs. I think he created the speaker's chair, or helped to create that. So he purchases a bunch of stuff. I work for a nonprofit organization that is a wildlife nonprofit organization here in Canada, and I'm in communication. So I do a couple of e-newsletters. I write a children's magazine, which is so much fun. I'm also their copy editor, so I do that as well. And then I'll do bits and bobs of whatever anyone needs, writing or editing, you know. So that is what I do, and I love it. I've worked there for, I think, around 12 years. The people are wonderful. I love the cause. Like, I genuinely care. I genuinely feel like we're making a huge difference in Canada, especially for a lot of creatures that, you know, don't necessarily look the cutest, like the American eel. Not cute, quite ugly, in fact. But a lot of these creatures need help. A lot of aquatic creatures need help. We're working really hard on the right whale. We're working really hard on a lot of freshwater turtles, all of which are at some level of a risk. monarch butterflies. We do a lot, and I'm really, really proud of it. So yeah, I'm really lucky that I love my job so much. So that is what Barry and I do. And I think that is all of the questions for today. Thank you so much to everyone who sent in questions or comments. It's really nice to be able to chat with you this way and address some of these things in a more personable way instead of writing it out. So I hope that you guys like these videos. I do them every once in a while. Again, if you have any questions or comments for me, please just write them right down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys, and maybe I will answer your comments in an upcoming video. I will chat with you soon. Bye, guys.